Hey friends, it's your pal Mike Shea from Sly Flourish, here with another episode of Sly Flourish's Lazy GM Prep. In this weekly show, I go through steps from Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master while preparing for my Sunday role-playing game. In this case, we are running a Tales of the Valiant campaign set in the world of Midgard, called Scourge of the Dragon Empire. This is set over in the Marathi Empire of Midgard on the eastern side of Midgard. This show, like all of the work of Sly Flourish, is brought to you by the patrons of Sly Flourish. Patrons get access to all kinds of tips, tricks, tools, source books, scenarios, adventures, a whole extra podcast, all kinds of awesome stuff you get by supporting Sly Flourish. You also get access to the awesome Lazy GM community over on our Discord server, and you directly support me and help me put on shows like this. To the patrons of Sly Flourish, thank you so much for your outstanding support. I missed last week's session. I was actually away at Winter Fantasy, a big 5th edition D&D convention that exists in Fort Wayne, Indiana. It's the 49th year that Winter Fantasy has been going around. A couple hundred people there, we had some snow. It's always Winter Fantasy is always a risky proposition because of weather and illness and things like that. I have about a 50-50 shot of making it when I plan to go. It's kind of a hard convention to get to, but it's a really fun convention. Lots of awesome people, lots of opportunity to drive things out. And I spent a fair bit of time playing a bunch of new D&D 2024 characters and watching GMs run D&D 2024 games. That was really eye-opening. In a later episode of the Lazy RPG Talk Show, I will be digging into some of my insights in that. And that was a lot of fun. But now I am back, and we are back to running the game, my home games. And last night, I just ran a D&D 2014 game set in the Vault of the Drow. And on my Wednesday game, we are running City of Arches using a hybrid of D&D 2024, D&D 2014, and Level Up Advanced 5e all in one game. And the big question is, how does that work? And the answer is just fine. It hasn't been a problem at all. But today, we're going to talk about my Tales of the Valiant game. So in our last session, let's see, we'll drop over to Obsidian here. In the last session of the game, the characters are in the city of Kukatarma. Kukatarma is a ruined city where the Natalian folk had been battling against the Dragon Empire hundreds of years ago. The Dragon Empire ended up winning, but the people of Kukatarma delved into powerful and yet dangerous and dark magic in order to try to repel the dragons. They were unsuccessful in this, but many of their experiments, many of their attempts at dark magic still exist beneath the ruins of Kukatarma. Our heroes are resistance, almost kind of like, are they resistance fighters? Are they thieves and scoundrels? They're still trying to figure all of that out, but they all definitely hate the Dragon Empire and the sort of the brutal tyranny of the Dragon Empire. They wish to thwart it in many ways. They had worked for a while to set up sort of a money train where they could harvest money from it. And now they have spent time delving into the ruins of Kukatarma, and they learned that there is a red portal that exists beneath a ziggurat, a big ziggurat in the ziggurat of Thoth Hermes. And they have started to delve into this ziggurat with a puzzle box in hand. The puzzle box is possessed by a chain devil. The name of the chain devil is... What's the name of the chain devil? I can't believe I didn't write the name of the chain devil down. It's like Kalak or something. It's not Kalak, but something like that. The name of the puzzle box, the name of the chain devil that's bound into the puzzle box is Catel. And the puzzle box is a key that can open up the red portal. So it's also an artifact that one of the characters is now bound to, and it has like barbed hooks stuck through his hand and barbed chains that kind of wrap around his arm, binding him to this puzzle box right out of Hellraiser, right? I just stole directly from Hellraiser. And so, but that is a key that will allow them to open up the red portal. And then that red portal can then connect the portal of Kukatarma to other ruined cities that are further and deeper into the Dragon Empire. What the characters decide to do with that is a good question. I want to kind of open those up as ways for them to bypass a big chunk of the travel of the money train that they're setting up. So they actually have more opportunity. They can move faster, and they have more opportunity to kind of rob the dragons as draconic hordes are going through, because they can move quicker than the dragons can. And then the dragon, the big caravans of draconic bribes and gold and treasure and stuff that they are secretly moving surreptitiously moving. One of the dragons are surreptitiously moving across the southern deserts, the Sarklan Desert, to Nuria Natal, where they're trading with traders in Nuria Natal, which is illegal according to the Dragon Pact. So that adds a complication in there as well. But today's session is them deep in the middle of the Ziggurat of Thoth Hermes. Let us get there is our map of the Ziggurat of Thoth Hermes. I had done very loose kind of descriptions on this. And if we look at my last session's notes, I wrote out sort of like, what do we have here? The statue of Dazdoro, the Nurian high priest of Thoth Hermes. There's a statue there. That could be, I've got lots of stuff that I can still use. So where the characters got to in the last session is they made their way down the first hall. They tried to find secret entrances, but were unable to do so because there really isn't any other secret entrances into the Ziggurat. Normally, I'd love to have a secret entrance, but there really wasn't a good opportunity to do so. They made it down to this first hall. They defeated a wisp, but then found out that the wisp was like a sister of the researchers of Thoth Hermes, and now they're learned, angry specters. And so there's the strong start in today's session, and we will open up a new. Let's see. We go to my Dragon Empire session notes, new from template. I'm using Obsidian to do my notes today. So if you want to learn more about Obsidian, you can find a link in the show notes for using Obsidian. I think we are down to, let's see, who's not here? Cal is not here. Gaudenzia is not here. And I think all of the other 5 characters are. A couple players are playing remote, and then 3 players are playing in person. So we've got that. And we can start off by thinking and putting our heads around the characters themselves. So Amavin is a rogue. What rogue thing? So I think Amavin might be aware of the value of a red portal connection in the Empire, in the deeper Empire. One of the things I like to do, there's a lot of different things you can do when you are considering the characters. You can think about their abilities and magic items that they have and other things like that. You can also kind of think about their context, the character's context in the story. And that's kind of what we're doing here. Mateo, recognizes the ability to make duplicate red portal keys. So the red portal is not particularly useful for the money train if only the characters can use it. But Mateo, who is a mechanist, which is kind of like an artificer, can look at the puzzle box and probably determine that they can make sort of, limited use keys that they could then give to the other groups that they want to use the red portal to be able to bypass stuff. So I'm going to open that up. I'll probably have to be ready to drop some limitations on it because it seems like it's too powerful otherwise. One other factor is that this red portal can actually open up to 2 other locations. So there's 3, I think once they do it, they will sort of have a triangle of 3 different locations. And they'll probably have to clear out all 3 of them. At this point, they will have cleared this one out. They'll have to clear out other locations in order to open them up so then they have these other portals that they can use to jump around the Empire a little bit. Rowan is a dwarf. So he is a dwarf former, was going to be on the front lines. And a secret that I've been using for him in the previous ones, I'm probably just going to steal again in this one, which is that he is aware of the heavy toll that Ibelin the Illustrious, one of the 3 Morza, the 3 big dragons that they're dealing with, that they're, the heavy engagement in holding the West is keeping them, there's a high cost, both in attention and money and resources. And that is something that the characters could end up benefiting from. The fact that there is this front, there's a big battle, a big front that is continually occurring, and holding those lands is really difficult. Tolstoy has the puzzle box and is kind of bound to it, and now has Cattell speaking to them. And had become, this was very funny. I want to share a fun story that occurred. So I had this really grim scene where the characters were making their way to the Ziggurat, and they saw these bound, skinned, still living beings that were chained with big barbed chains to these 4 pillars. And there was this circle on the ground, this like blood-drenched circle. And there was a humanoid kneeling in the circle who turned around and saw Tolstoy and said, "You're the one. I've been waiting for you." This being a halfling herald, right? A herald of, I think we had a name for Clancy Nightcloud was his name. There was a herald of Mott, right? Mott being this god of death and decay and stuff like that. And he said, you can become, and he started talking to him. He's like, "Come and talk to me." And Tolstoy's like, "Huh?" Like he's looking at the summoning circle and he's like, "I don't know, this is good." And he's looking at the skin bodies and the Mott says, the Clancy looks at this and, "Don't worry about those guys. They were real AHs. They were bad dudes. So yeah, they're skinned and chained to the pillars, but they were really bad people, right?" And I was like, "Oh, okay, that makes it good." He's like, "Come, take my hand." And I remember one of the characters, Emmert, who is a ranger whose family was wiped out by the Dragon Empire, was like, "I gotta go disrupt this circle." And he starts to go up to disrupt the circle, and then he said, "You can be and they gave him a new rank. And the rank was a potentate. I don't think it's potentate. I forget how it's pronounced. But they realized that Mott is Mott fights against the Dragon Empire. Mott is a dark god that fights against the Dragon Empire. And as soon as Emmert heard that, he goes, "Oh, never mind. Maybe I won't disrupt this circle." And sure enough, Tolstoy accepted this. And a mark appeared on his head that he can hide at will, but he has like a mark on it that marked him as I'm going to have to figure out how to pronounce this. Let's go to see how this is pronounced. Potentate. Very good. Okay. It's potentate. So he became a potentate of Dragon Slayers, a potentate of Mott, which means that he sort of has free reign to fight against the Dragon Empire and act both as like judge, jury, and executioner in this, which is a little dangerous, right? And I want to make sure, like, I might have to be out of character. Like, you still can't go torturing people or anything like that. All the things that we said we don't want to do, you're still not going to be able to do. But you do have, kind of this license to do it. And so they're kind of happy. He's kind of happy to do it. But, he's only 4th level and he's already super dark. And this player often plays characters who transform into super dark characters and has been doing so for many years. Worked out. So Tolstoy is now a Dragon Slayer potentate of Mott. Yeah, he accepted this thing. So now that he is that, what does that, how does that tie to it? I guess he's given the hit list, right, of the 3 Morza. That Mott is like, if you want to truly disrupt this empire, if you want to crack it, there are 3 Morza that you have to either slay or break them away from the Dragon Empire. And that's Ibelin the Illustrious, Parsis the Hidden, and Atasha of the Burning Sands. And if you can kill and or defeat them, you will shatter the empire, and that's sort of an end goal. So the idea is like, we can now say like, this is what the campaign is about. Like the campaign is about disrupting these 3 Morza. You break these 3 Morza, you win the game. Even though it might take you 10 more levels to do it. 10, 15 more levels to do it, maybe. Who knows? So that is a good one. Emmert's family was wiped out. Well, probably, I think I chose a place where Emmert's family was wiped out. And then, of course, I didn't write it down, but I picked a location. Let's see. We'll pull up my maps here. So it could have been, I don't remember. So I wonder if the player remembers. If the player doesn't remember where, I can put, the player basically said, look, I lived in a small village that was outside of a bigger city and it got wiped out by the dragonkind. I get to decide like which one of the dragons did it. It might be more interesting if we've got enough people that are already up in arms about Ibelin the Illustrious, then it might make more sense for this character to have a negative connection to Atasha of the Burning Sands. Atasha is from the southeastern side and is far more of a very typical brutal dragon than Ibelin the Illustrious, who's like an undead gem-covered dragon, and Parsis the Hidden, who spends most of the time in human form doing spy stuff. It will be more interesting if like that's your real dragon down there, right? The real dragon is Atasha of the Burning Sands. And I think like the people of Atasha, so it could have been like outside of Sarkland, would be probably not a bad place where that occurred. So I think like Emmert's family, so we're going to put this in our new notes here. And I don't remember. Well, I'll have to come up with a name for the village. And I better write it down. Let me make sure I just didn't write it down in my character notes already. I doubt I did. I would have. Nomadic village, uprising started, wiped out by Dragonfire, small village, north of Sarkland. Look at me. Sweet relief. I actually already did the same thing. Yeah. And I think it would be fun to have a name for this village. Kryvis? The village of Kryvis, whose name is now illegal because it's like the village was wiped out. There was a resistance group there. The village is wiped out and no one knows the name, and anybody that does, it's illegal for you to speak it. I think that would be cool. So I'm digging that. So these kind of count as secrets. They're kind of just character hooks, right? These are the things that sort of draw the characters into it. A couple things that would be great. I think I can't remember. Let me check my session notes again, but I'm pretty sure I didn't put it in here. Yes, so I did. So I said, like, who's got what magic items? Gaudenzia has been out, so I don't know what magic items Gaudenzia has. Cal has Slippers of Spider Climbing. Amavin has Armor of Swarms. Rowan does not have any magic items, or I don't know. Mateo, I don't know if has any magic items. Tolstoy has the puzzle box, which is pretty powerful. And Emmert has the necrotic circlet of blasting. So there's lots of opportunity here for more weapons, right? For more magic items. And I want to make sure that like the items, when I'm looking at items, I want items that fit the characters who are actually at the game today that also don't have magic items currently. That's really something you only have to worry about at your earlier tier, because eventually once they have at least one good magic item, there's a little less pressure of like, hey, make sure they have good items. But a lot of times I think it is valuable to think about an item that really fits the theme of the character. Often that's a weapon or a magical implement of some kind. You know, something that does it. And it can be useful to kind of look at the character. Well, why don't we do it right now? We'll do it right now. Do it live. Now, if we look at the characters, but we'll look at the ones who are here today. And I know Cal is gone and Gaudenzia is gone. So Amavin is around. Amavin has an Armor of Swarms, but we'll make a wish list. And I'm going to guess what they might want. Amavin, being the rogue, would probably love a magic bow or magic light weapon. Everyone loves that. Rowan, the dwarf, would love a magic battle axe because he fights with a battle axe. So almost certainly would like that. That's a wish list item. Let's get that out of there. Mateo would probably love an instrument of some sort, right? A mechanist's implement. Tolstoy has the puzzle box, would probably love wands. And Emmert would probably love also probably the same kind of thing, magic bow or magic light weapons. So when I'm thinking about what items that I drop in as I'm rolling random items, I might want to keep in mind the sort of stuff that is particularly valuable to them. So that's another little like, hey, the kind of thing to pay attention to while you're doing that research on the characters, right? While you're putting those characters first and foremost in mind. So our strong start, we have angry, learned specters who are angered by the destruction of their sister, the Wisp. So the specters this could be a potentially they could roleplay their way out of the scene. And I think that that's totally fine. You know, I don't have any problem with them roleplaying out of the scene. I had a very fun scene last night where this is right out of the 1978 adventure Vault of the Drow, which I'm running. And in there, they met a drow vampire and a succubus who had created this glorious, beautiful area that they could live in, and they had servants who were helping them, and they were like, come and rest with us. And the characters found out that they were a vampire and a succubus, and they thought there was going to be a big fight. But the vampire and the succubus realized that the characters are really powerful because they killed an ancient dragon, or they killed the adult dragon nearby, and also wield a very powerful drow weapon known as the Lady's Kiss, a sword. And they know that there's like a legacy about that sword. It's actually a shard of Loth. That there's a shard of Loth's personality in it, but is actually part of the leg carapace of Loth when she was wounded by the Corellon elves, by Corellon and the elves. And he's like, I'm not standing in the way of that. Right. So they let him go. But it was this really tense scene. And I remember some players were like, oh, it would have been interesting to fight. Like, yeah, it would have been really hard. And like, hey, we got through it. So let's, And they were like, we hope you don't ruin your encounter. And I'm like, I don't plan encounters. You can't ruin my encounters. Right. Like if you talk your way out, great. There are some times where I expect a fight. But there are other times where it's like, however you defeat this encounter is totally cool with me. And that was when it was totally cool with them. And I feel the same way about this. Them having to fight a bunch of specters doesn't really matter that much to me. Thinking about how many specters though. So we're going to have 5 characters today. They are 4th level. That is 20. The max CR therefore is 5, right? The lazy encounter benchmark is 5 CRs worth of monsters. I think that's right. Pretty much, right? Because add all the numbers together. So you add the total character levels together. In this case, it's 20 because they're 4th level characters. There are 5 of them, so that's 20. And then you divide that number, because they're below 5th level, you divide that number by 4, and that comes out to 5. So that means they can fight 5. Specters, I think, are CR1s. Let's take a look at the monster vault here. And we'll look at I don't imagine it's very different, but we're going to take a look at the Tales of the Valiant Specters, the Monster Vault Specters. Spectre, bang. And see what they're like. So they are CR1s. They are resistant to all kinds of stuff. They have 27 hit points, incorporeal movement, blah, 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 blah. And they do a life drain. Ooh, that life drain attack is hard. It hits hard. CR1, they're doing 12 damage. So +4 to hit, 12 necrotic damage. Target must succeed at DC 12 con save. Hit point maximum is reduced by an amount equal to the damage taken. This reduction lasts until the target finishes, and the target dies if it reduces them to 0. That is really, really hard. But I think we're going to do it, right? So I'm not going to throw 5 at them. So the lazy encounter benchmark is designed to give you the idea of, hey, am I in the red? Is this going to be significantly harder? But to me, the number of specters that makes sense is probably 3. So there are 3 specters that are wandering around these halls that are angered by the destruction of their sister. So 3 angry learned specters. And, we can have a little secret and clue here, which like specters have the ability to drain the life out of their victims. They can be very dangerous. Good secrets that anybody that's got training in religion would know that specters are really dangerous. And I just want to give a little bit of a warning to the characters that if somebody stands up and is like, I'm going to tank all 3 specters, they could seriously die. They could die on the spot, right? Because they have 28 hit points. They're about 31 hit points, I think, at 4th level. I think that's about right. 7 times level plus 3 is my little benchmark for how many hit points generally, on the average, that characters have, which is about 31 hit points, and which means if they get hit 3 times, they will be dead, right? And they don't drop to 0. They literally die. That's the dangerous part. So that is that, and that is our first scene, the Angry Learned Specters. Be a good name of a bar. And then continuing to explore the Ziggurat. And then the Chamber of the Red Portal. And then they have decisions about where to go. And there are 2 choices about where they can go. And one of them is to Nerderin, and the other is to Syaz. And we'll want to learn we probably need a couple of secrets. I have a feeling I have these secrets in my last one about, the Nerderin and Syaz. Right, so I've got 2 secrets that I stole right out of the Midgard World book about what Nerderin and Syaz are like. So the Ruins of Nerderin is a Nurian human city that resisted the arrival of the dragons in the first rush of the Maraudi expansion. Charred stones and a few pillars are all that remains. We can decide what's left in Nerderin. And they just, a hard part is, I don't want just another city full of undead. We just did all of Kukatarma, and we've spent weeks there. Many sessions have been in Kukatarma. So I want to probably bring some other angle to it, another group that has taken over, another angle on it, so that it's not another city full of undead, because we just did a city full of undead. Syaz, great experiment by kobold alchemist named Mektree the Mad, went horribly wrong in Syaz, releasing vampiric mist and flesh-rotting vapors that turned the town from a thriving metropolis into a tomb almost overnight. Scattered bands of gnolls used as empty buildings, but the dragon Urmanli considered a place best left fallow. So I think we could say oozes would be there, ooze folk, gnoll raiders, anything. I mean, I think that's probably good. And then Nerderin. So what, so we have charred stones, that was burned down by the Dragon Empire. We could have like human bandits or humanoid bandits and raiders who are kind of looking for stuff sort of on the outside. Is there anything else near Nerderin? It's on a ley line, but that's why we have a red portal connected to it. What else could we have there? There could be a nearby bivouac of Maraudi soldiers on their way to the Dragon Coil Mountains. I'm trying to think like what else might be fun. You could have hags, right? Hags, maybe a green hag trio who whisper to the dead. That could be an option too. So I just want to make some kind of like options of what makes these cities these ruins that they go to more interesting, different than what they've done in Kukatarma, because Kukatarma is like they've just they've been getting hammered with undead, and it'd be nice to have some other stuff there. So I think like the idea of like oozes and ooze folk would be pretty great. I think that could work. So what else do we need? So we have Nerderin and Sayaz. I'm going to save myself a little screen or a little page real estate and put these in line. And I think that's probably going to be that, like those, that's as much as is going to happen in this session. Like there's a lot that's going on here. So fantastic locations. We have the chambers of the Ziggurat. And I think I did some of these last time too, because I didn't get particularly far. Armory, shrine, laboratory, classroom, privy, embalming chamber, crypt, gallery, barracks, divination room, fount of knowledge, meditation cells. Those were good. I got this by looking at the Game Master, the Tales of the Valiant Game Master's Guide, which has really good lists of chambers for different kinds of dungeons. And I just wanted to have some sort of on hand. But now I actually know like where they are, so I can do a little bit of a better job of determining what's going on. So we could have... so I think like we're going to have like a magical artifact, and when we do our treasure, we'll figure it out, that there's some kind of like little trappy thing to the south, and there's an artifact there, and then there's doorways, and there's like a library, a library on the right, and then, like a shrine to 3 to the left is a shrine to 3 learned sages, right? Let's get some names for these sages. We'll do my random name generator over here. Bert Drumwillow, Machion Copper Traveler, and Judith Needlehoof. We'll do Judith Jewel Song. Drumwillow's pretty cool. Copper Traveler, that's kind of Copper Song. And these were, the three sages of Nurians who operate out of Kukatarma and are priests and sages of Thoth Hermes. So that's that leftmost one. The rightmost one is a library, and I think we could drop in one scroll. We're gonna go. One thing that my players definitely enjoyed is the getting scrolls of spells outside of the normal spell lists. So we'll go to our spell lists here. Whoops. So I'm gonna look at Deep Magic 1 because it's got lots of interesting spells going on in here. And we have a wizard, so we're going to go for wizard spells. And we can kind of look. In this case, it's probably not a dark spell. So it's probably not a spell of blood magic or void magic or something like that. Ooh, detect dragons. Oh, look at that. Second level divination spell, castable by wizards, concentration 10 minutes. You can detect the presence of dragons and other draconic creatures within your line of sight and 120 feet. Regardless of disguises, illusions, and alterations such as polymorph. The information you uncover depends on the number of consecutive rounds you spend. On the first round of examination, you detect whether any draconic creatures are present, but not their number, location, identity, or any type. On a second round, you learn the number such as creatures. Third and subsequent rounds, you make DC 15 Intelligence Arcana check with the age, type, and location of one draconic creature. Note the spell provides no information on the turn in which it was cast, unless you have the means. That's really good. Okay, so we're gonna take that spell and we're gonna add it to our treasure, and I'm gonna put it in my notes. I don't want to fill up my prep notes here. So I have like a little. I thought I had a notes. Don't I have just like a notes? I don't. So let's make one new notes, and I will drop that in there. So I have it handy. Yeah, so the idea that they find a detect dragon spell, because it makes sense that the Nurians who are here in this place would be researching spells like that, because they were at war. So that works out really well. So that's in the library. I can also move that around too. So they're going there. Then they go down the stairs here, and I have a forbidden laboratory and a vault of the cube. So the vault of the cube would be where it had previously been found. The puzzle box had previously been found. I don't know at this point. I don't really know like which way they're going to go, but they have to go one level further down. So I guess these big steps are where they go down, and they find the portal, and the portal is in here. So I can probably fill in these rooms with sort of other details from like are they an armory or a shrine, or a laboratory or a classroom or stuff like that. I think I can sort of improvise these as I go, because I don't. I could sit here and try to figure out exactly what every single chamber in this place was, but for the sake of time, I think I'm just going to keep this list of things, and then they can, as they explore these, I will be able to fill them out by looking at this list. But I do want to have I want to have the portal, and I think the portal is probably in this big chamber. In fact, the chamber is probably, the portal is probably in that secret chamber to the far east. But I want, who's guarding the chamber is a big question. Like what creatures guard the chamber? Well, one thing we want to have is I've got my monster list that I'm going to drop into my monsters section, which is my random encounters. Although learned specters are already going to fight, so I'm going to pull that off. And they already fought a will-o-wisp. So now I'm down to a D4 for my random encounters, which is totally fine because I don't think I'm going to use all of them. You don't need to have giant random encounter tables. But I really want to have a boss. Now, they've already fought a mummy, and having more, undead, a construct, a kind of a big construct would be, a big like arcane construct would be kind of fun. I can, of course, make one up, but let's take a look at the monster vault here. And I'm kind of cheap. So I know what kind of monster I want, and I could reskin anything, right? I can make anything into a construct, but we're going to go like, creatures by challenge rating. And again, so they're 4, so it shouldn't be higher than a CR6. In fact, it shouldn't be probably higher than a CR4. So I'm going to start by looking at CR4s. And we have puddings, chewels, husk demons. That might be cool. Elephant Etten ghosts, ghouls, bugbear champions, Lamia. Oh, a Lamia might be fun. A Lamia protector, a Lamia that has been bound to protect this place could be fun. Orc warlords, a Hooligan. So I like those. So we're going to take a look at the husk demon, see what that's like. Demons are always a good time. And it would have like come out of the portal, right? Let's see, husk demon. It looks cool. It looks like all paper. Let's see, withered demons. When left without purpose or target for depredation, some lesser demons decay into husk demons rather than devolving into dretches. Expunged, little remains of what these demons once were, save for rage and hunger. Husk demons seem to consume the souls of sentient creatures, which can restore the demon's former shape and glory. They slurp at the bodies and souls of creatures, steadily leeching the vitality for a thirst for life. So demons inhabit the ruins of demonic strongholds, right? So I like this. This fits a lot. So let's look at it from a statistics standpoint. So it's CR4, 82 hit points. It can move through areas, demonic resilience, magic resistance, makes 2 life drain attacks, 7 slashing plus 9 necrotic, and it regains hit points equal to the necrotic. Target must save on a DC 15 con. If its maximum is reduced, and this reduction lasts until the creature's finish, a long rest target dies. If this effect reduces the hit point maximum to 0, that's pretty good. So it's a little bit like the Spectre, pretty dangerous. Soul Feed. The husk demon feasts on the light in the soul of up to 2 creatures it can see, causing one of the following effects. Each creature must make a DC 15 charisma save or suffer one of the following effects. The creature fails to save against Soul Feed for 2 rounds in a row. It suffers a level of exhaustion. Happiness Feast. Feasts on the target's happiness. That's fun. Target has disadvantage on attack rolls to the end of its next turn. Hope. Target becomes despondent. Target has disadvantage on saves until the end of its next turn. And Motivation Feast. The target's motivation causing the target to lose ambitions and become target speed is halved. So that's kind of fun. So I'm digging that a lot. So we're gonna when you've got your answer, you don't keep looking. And that's on page 84. Now, there's probably some other things. I think we're going to have, I think I've already used them, but I'm going to use them again, which would be dretches. I don't think we've used dretches before. We used the other ones, but the lemurs we used. So dretches are only CR 1/4. So we can actually drop 4 dretches in and just hit the deadly encounter threshold. And they do 7 damage on a hit, and they have a fetid cloud. So I think we're going to do 4 dretches. Those are on page 80. So they all are right near each other. So that looks like a fun, that big chamber with all of these pillars and these crumbling statues. I think that a husk demon and 4 dretches would be a fun fight in that. So we've got that. We only have like 3 secrets. We got to go back and do a few secrets, but we can. I think we've got everything else here. I don't think we need to get too fancy with what's in the chamber. You could have crumbling statues, which could be toppled over and stuff like that, or you could hide behind. People love to have stuff to hide behind. I don't know. We could have some like abyssal pools, and if like you step or stop in them, it causes harm. That'd be a little bit of fun terrain that we could do there. So we have the Detect Dragons spell for treasure. I'm jumping all around. Let's go back to secrets. Okay, so scenes, I'm good. Stardom, I've done my characters. I've got my strong start. I've got my scenes. Secrets and clues. So what we're going to do is harvest secrets from the last one. Chaos magic still emanates through Kuta Dharma, so we don't need that anymore. That was because they fought those dragons the first time. We know about Mott and the high potentate. We know that the puzzle box can open a red portal to the ruins of Nuria, to Nurdurin or Sayaz. We'll copy that secret over, but we're going to add Mateo can craft extra keys. I think that's good. The ruins of Nurdurin we did, Sayaz we did. Thoth Hermes got a knowledge learning, the wise, creator of lords, patron of scholars, thieves, master of arcane realms, patron of magocracy of Elaine, green and white feather quill with green ink. That's not bad. So we will drop that in there. I like this other one about the tattooed Sylvan folk. Athelia made it down here, and so Sister Athelia is with them. We'll put her in notable NPCs, right? She's been hanging out with them, and the tattooed Sylvan folk are the Weirdling Lore Seekers. Weirdling Lore Seekers, I think, will be a fun kind of encounter. That they're down there too, lurking around trying to steal stuff. And they seek the red portal as well, but they're looking to use it as a channel to get to the Shadow Roads. That would be a secret. So the Weirdling wants to open the red portal to the Shadow Roads so they can leave this world. Dreadful world. The Lore Seekers are on page 327. Let's jump there real quick. These guys are fun. Weirdlings. Dusky, hairless humanoids stand calmly, staring with eyes that seem to take in everything. Created long ago by a deity of fate, they form a mortal link. They're humanoids, so they're not fae. They form a mortal link between the world and destiny, acting as watchful eyes over the threads of fate, guiding those. They spend much of their time living in isolated communities and remote areas, welcoming, so they don't seem totally evil. They have identifying tattoos. They're privy to the future. So those could be kind of interesting. And I still think that like them trying to use it to open the Shadow Roads is probably not. I don't know how much I want to drop the Shadow Roads. I've done a lot with the Shadow Roads in a previous campaign. So why are they here? So are they here to open the red portal? Are they here to witness, that they're trying to understand the fall? I think they're here. So let's see. Wants to open the red portal because they know it is part of a grand plan that will change the fate of Midgard forever. So they don't know what's going to happen down here, but they're kind of like watching the red portal and seeking it. And they probably think the characters are bandits, which could be attacked. And then they might realize, oh, wait a minute. No, you are the thing we've been looking for. You're the ones that are going to do this. That could be really interesting. So we'll drop them in there. So we have 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 7 secrets. Is there anything else? You got that one. Red portals seem to travel instantaneously between locations, but in the cracks between lie other worlds, dark and light, including hell itself. I like that one. The red portals could be dangerous. I think we're going to do like a roll. Like every time they go through, they have to like roll a d20, and if they roll a 1, it tears open a rift and they end up in another world and have to fight their way back. That'd be kind of fun. They could even roll randomly to determine what world they go to. So that is 8. Are there what other secrets do I need that they could learn about in Thoth Hermes? I didn't paste over the lore about Thoth Hermes, and I'm going to because they're going to see a lot more about Thoth Hermes here. So I'm going to drop that in. Saves me a little bit of time. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. Is there any last secret that they know or want to know or could? I don't know. I don't know. We're just going to stick with 9. maybe we'll see if we get to 10, but when I'm done here. So I've got our locations. I've got notable NPCs. I've got some monsters. That's all good. We need some treasure. We're going to use my treasure generator. Someday I want to try out the treasure system that they have in Tales of the Valiant, but it is not this day because mine is really easy. So I don't like Eyes of Charming sound not great. I don't know. That might be kind of interesting. Am I willing to put that in there? Let's take a look at Eyes of Charming. This would be in the player's guide. Eyes of Charming. Crystal glasses fits up. They have 3 charges and regain all expenditure at dawn. While wearing them, you can expend 1 charge as an action to cast a charm spell, save DC 13, on a humanoid within 30 feet of you, provided that you and the target can see each other. So that is charm. Do I really want to give them an item that can cast charm 3 times a day? Because charm can be, kind of nasty. Let's take a look at charm as a spell. Charm. Let's see if they did anything to charm here. So you attempt to charm a creature you can see within range to be effective, but the target must be able to understand at least one language, though it need not be the language you speak. Target makes a wisdom saving throw. It does so with advantage if you or your companion it does so with advantage if you're fighting it. On a failed save, it is charmed by you until the spell ends, or until you or your companions do anything harmful to it. The charmed creature regards you as a friendly acquaintance. When the spell ends, the creature knows it was charmed by you. It lasts for an hour. So Eyes of Charming. Elemental Gem, I think, summons an elemental. I don't know if I like that. Gem contains a mode of elemental energy. When you use an action to break the gem, an elemental is summoned as if you had cast Conjure Elemental spell, and the gem's magic is lost. The type of gem determines the element. What the hell? We'll just do it. It's one time. So that's pretty good. I think the elemental gem could be the thing that was on that platform, that artifact on that platform. Could be kind of cool. And the charm could be pretty interesting. So we'll see. All right. I got to follow my own advice and give myself one more secret. What is one more thing that they could know and learn? Is it something about Nerderin or Syaz? We already have stuff about Nerderin and Syaz in there. We already, so where they're going. Is there anything else about Thoth Hermes that could be interesting? Anything else they could learn down here in, with the red portal or anything like that? Any knowledge about the dragons and the Dragon Empire that they could learn? Anything about their money train? I will drop in the Parsis the Hidden, but I think they've already done that one before. Ibelin the Illustrious is quite flamboyant in reputation. Adisha is known for draconic brutality. Parsis the Hidden, few know much about them at all. I think that's good. All right. So I have got, let's see, go back here so we can take a look at it. Let's go through my notes one last time. I got characters and character stuff. I've got a strong start. I've got some scenes. I've got a big pile of secrets and clues. I got fantastic locations that I'm going to kind of drop in as we go. I've got only one NPC, Sister Athelia. I got a bunch of monsters, and I've got treasure. So I am all set. Friends, I want to thank all of you for hanging out with me today while I prepped for my game. If you enjoyed this show, you want to see more stuff like this, you want to get more tips and tricks for running your games, the best thing you can do is subscribe to the Sly Flourish newsletter. When you subscribe, you get a free adventure generator PDF. You also get a weekly RPG-related article sent directly to your inbox. It is absolutely free to sign up, and it's the best way to stay up to date on all of the things that I'm doing. You can also support me directly on Patreon. Patrons get access to things like the Lazy GM's random generator, and a whole bunch of different other web-based tools that you can download and keep forever, a whole bunch of different scenarios for fantasy RPGs that you're running, more tips and tricks, all kinds of things that you get for being a patron, and you get to join the Lazy GM community over on Discord, and you get to support me directly for the work that I'm doing. And you can also pick up any of my books, including Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master, Lazy DM's Workbook, Lazy DM's Companion, Forge of Foes, City of Arches, and more on the Sly Flourish bookstore. Links for all of that are in the show notes. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and get out there and play an RPG.